The Journey of the Anne Marie. In the spring of 1847, one of the darkest years of Ireland's Great Famine, the Anne Marie, a wooden sailing vessel, prepared to leave from Galway Bay. Hundreds of desperate souls crowded aboard, fleeing starvation and disease for the promise of survival in America. Among them was 18-year-old Bridget O'Shea, the eldest of 6 children from a small farming family near Clifton. She was the only one her parents could afford to send, pinning their hopes on her survival. The Anne Marie was a coffin ship, named for the appalling conditions that claimed the lives of so many aboard. The passengers were crammed below deck, where the air was thick with the stench of unwashed bodies and sickness. Bridget clutched the rosary her mother had pressed into her hands before departure, whispering prayers for strength as the ship set sail. Within days, illness began to spread. Fever and dysentery ravaged the passengers, and the ship's meager supply of food and water ran low. Bridget tended to an elderly woman who had collapsed in the corner, sharing what little bread she had. "We'll make it," Bridget said, more to herself than the woman. But each day another body was carried to the deck and cast into the sea. The ship's crew avoided the infected passengers, offering little assistance. Bridget watched helplessly as children succumbed to hunger and disease. Her faith wavered, but she forced herself to hope. "I must survive," she whispered, thinking of her family waiting back in Ireland. Midway through the journey, a violent storm lashed the Anne Marie. Waves crashed over the deck and water poured into the hold where the passengers huddled together, screaming and praying. Bridget clung to a wooden beam as the ship rocked violently. By morning, the storm had passed, but several passengers were gone, swept overboard or drowned below deck. The survivors emerged to see the wreckage around them. The storm had damaged the masts and torn the sails. The captain announced that the journey would take longer than expected, plunging the passengers into despair. After 6 harrowing weeks, the Anne Marie finally approached the shores of Canada, unable to reach its intended destination of New York. Weakened but alive, Bridget stumbled onto the dock at Grosse Isle, a quarantine station in Quebec. She was among the fortunate few who survived. Doctors at Grosse Isle inspected the passengers, separating the sick from the healthy. Bridget, gaunt but fever-free, was allowed to continue her journey to Boston, where she found work as a maid. She wrote to her family, sending what little money she could spare, and vowed to bring them to America someday.